and welcome back to another episode of the Real Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Jacob O'Connor. Real Conversations is a podcast for those dedicated to doing hard things and living a meaningful life. Today, I'm joined by Brady Palen.
There you go. Thank you for having me. I'm doing great.
Dude, I always feel like I'm going to say your name wrong because I always thought it was Palen. I feel like that's how it's spelled. It's just got one L, right?
Yep, Palen. So people announce it wrong all the time. You just got to remember Ballin Pollen.
I know your Instagram handle is the only reason that I know.
Yep. People still read it and think Ballin Palen, and I'm like, nah, that's not it.
They're like, what a terrible Instagram handle.
No, it's pretty good. I came up with that a long time ago. It's been there for over a decade probably, so I'm never changing it.
That's awesome. So how's track been going?
Oh, well, this year's actually pretty darn good. My season average has been 2.17 meters, which is 7.1.5, and that's by far the best I've ever had. Like, even just 2 years ago, my best jump of the year was 7.2, so I'm pretty proud of how the season's gone. I've got a lot more consistent, and yeah, it's just been a good time.
So whenever you were in high school, like, how much better than other people at meets were you? Like, how high were you jumping in high school?
Oh, in high school, like, starting off, I could compete and get close to winning meets as a freshman and sophomore, but towards my junior year, I'd come in and everybody else would be out, and I would take my 6 jumps or whatever, miss 3 times, and then be done. And I mean, move on to my next event because I was doing 3 field events. So I just went from one field event to another and another. So I was always on the clock.
What field events were you doing?
Long jump and javelin.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't picture you doing javelin.
Oh, you don't want to picture it.
I've seen you throw one javelin one time.
Yeah, my throwing motion is not very good.
Yeah, it's
even for football or baseball or anything, it's just not good.
I've also seen you throw a baseball too, so that's fair. So, like, what height were you doing though in high school? Like, it's your PR in high school.
Well, my PR my freshman year was 6'4", and then 6'6" my sophomore year, and 6'10.5" my junior year, and then senior year. Obviously, we're the same age, but
yeah, COVID.
Yeah, I'd say most meets I'd jump around 6'6" my senior year, so it's kind of where I was jumping my PR from last year all the time, and then had a good day. And good days are harder to come by now. I'm a lot more consistent.
Yeah,
good day might just be jumping my average because I've been so consistent. I'm waiting for the day where I have one of those good days like I used to have, where I'll have 2 PRs in a day and
you're like, whoa, where'd that come from?
yeah, exactly.
So I guess context, you're an All-American high jumper for Wichita State University. You were on this podcast like about a year ago, almost exactly. Does that sound right?
Yep.
Yeah, because I wore your track jersey, and that was right before you had to compete.
Right.
So that was, I don't have that surprise for you today.
Yeah.
But do you feel like you're getting closer to plateauing because you're consistently at such a high mark? Like, it's harder to make progress now than it was in high school.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's definitely frustrating. Winning the indoor and outdoor American is definitely an accomplishment, and that kind of makes up for a little bit of lack of PRing and getting personal records all the time. So, yeah, I haven't touched my PR since that last podcast, and I've been close. I've jumped 220, which is 2 centimeters less, a handful of times since then, and I've just never made a bar higher. And right now, the Olympic trial is standard for like the auto qualifier. You got to be top 24, but if you get the auto qualifier, you're good to go. That's a centimeter above my PR, so that's kind of what I've been chasing this whole outdoor season, and I've jumped at it like 4 meets now, and I just haven't gotten it, so it's getting frustrating.
Auto qualifier for the Olympics is bar height. What was the actual height that's the auto qualifier?
Oh, 7.3 3/4.
7.3 3/4.
So they take top 24 Americans. If there is more than 24 Americans that hit that standard, they'll take them all. But if there's, say, 15 that hit the standard, then they'll take that other 9 athletes that have jumped the minimum, which I've already done. So
how hard is it to get a couple more centimeters? Like, we're not even talking inches at this point, just centimeters.
I don't know, man. I just can't do it. I guess we're talking 3 centimeters, which is about that much, and you put it up there way up in the sky, and it's apparently a big amount because I just clip it or something else like that every single time, and it's not much distance wise, but it might be a bigger mark and jump in your head than it really is in real life because you're jumping at a PR,
Yeah.
and it's just like a big number to you.
Do you feel like you get a little bit of like a mental block almost?
Yeah. So like recently I've just started focusing on more like remaining calm when I get to that bar. A lot of the times in the high jump, kids and athletes will get all jacked up and like kind of too tensed up before they're jumping. I'm trying to stay more focused and act like it's a 220 or 7.2 bar that I've jumped consistently this year. And I've tried to focus on that, but still the adrenaline sometimes gets a hold of you.
So how do you, I mean, you say you focus on it, but what are you actually doing to try and stay calm?
I'd say it comes down to like in my approach and some breathing, just kind of keeping my heart rate in check and not getting too freaked out about running as hard as possible and just staying relaxed in my approach. So a lot of athletes will start out really fast and then slow down, and that's kind of the opposite of what I'm trying to do in my approach is build up speed gradually through my approach.
So whenever I did high jump in middle school, like I was terrible, but
Yeah.
you make like almost like a hockey stick curve where it's like a set amount of steps is 8,
I take
12?
eight
You take 8 steps?
to 12. Yeah, pretty much for any athlete.
Okay. And then you want to come at the bar almost to where you're tangential to it.
Yeah. Well, it's a J curve.
It's a J curve. Okay.
Yeah, there's a pretty good video online where they throw like a broomstick and you can see the physics of when you hit it at an angle, it like rotates over the bar. That video make a lot more sense, but essentially that's what you're trying to do when you hit the ground is hit a certain angle with your takeoff to where you rotate over the bar and your center of gravity goes underneath it.
So you take 8 steps, and I mean, you could put 100 people in a room and take 8 steps and you're coming out in the top 5 pretty much every time. Why have you been so good at high jump? Like what makes you different?
For me, I just played a lot of basketball growing up and that's really what I enjoyed. We had a good goal outside, and I said that before, but we had a good goal, and it was always my goal to dunk on it. As little as I couldn't dunk on the lowest setting, which was like, 7 foot 6 inches. And I just couldn't do it. So I'd keep trying, and eventually I could get it up to closer to 10 feet where I could dunk. And then once I started my freshman year of basketball, that's what I was trying at the end of every basketball practice. And towards the end of my freshman year, I finally got it. And I think I dunked a basketball when I was like 14. So that's an early start, and I've just been doing it since then. And really, that's where a lot of my vertical training has come. A lot more of the technique side of high jump has happened in college.
So were you jumping 1 foot or 2 foot when you're trying to dunk it?
One.
Is it left foot?
Yeah. Still to this day, I have a really hard time dunking with 2 feet and 2 hands. Like I can pretty much only do it after a high jump session. If I go play basketball and play a game or something, it's hard for me to get up with 2 feet and 2 hands and slam the ball.
It's a lot more coordination. You got to move differently than...
Yeah, I'm just such a 1-footed jumper, and all the speed I need to get up and fly, it just doesn't happen from a 2-foot approach. And I think that's something a lot of people don't think of, because you hear people online complaining about the high jump rules where you can only take off of 1 foot instead of 2, because there's a lot of 2 feet athletes that would just jump pretty successfully. But once you get to close to a world-class level, at least, you're not going to have enough speed from a 2-step or a 2-footed approach. And I don't think a lot of athletes realize that.
Have you seen the video of the guy running and jumping with 2 feet, and he does like a front flip over the bar? Like he doesn't approach it at a side angle. He goes straight on.
Yeah, and there's also other videos of people doing like gymnastics moves where they'll jump the high jump world record from doing like a backhand spring it's on a gymnastics mat, so it has a little bit of bounce in it. But they're doing like a flip, and they're easily clearing 245, which is 8 feet.
And then people will say it's like a hack. They're like, why don't all the high jumpers just do it this way?
Yeah, no, I don't think it'd work that way outside on a track and with track spikes and stuff.
You should try that next meet.
No, I don't think I can't even do a backflip, so I'm not even going to try a back handspring.
So you were dunking left-footed off your left foot. So when you approach the bar and you do high jump, is it off your left foot as well?
Yeah. I'll mess around in practice and jump off my right side every once in a while, but yeah, I'm mainly a left-footed jumper. I've gotten to where I can jump and dunk a basketball off my right leg on like a very rare occasion.
It feels awkward, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
And having the ball in your left hand too probably feels weird.
Yeah, well, I'm going up with 2 hands. Yeah. But the strength is kind of in my right leg, and then all the I don't even know, explosiveness is what I would say is in my left leg, and that's the main difference.
That quick twitch fiber.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was going to ask, why can't you do a backflip? Like, you can jump over, you could look at a doorway and think to yourself, I can confidently jump over a doorway. Just never tried a backflip or what?
It's a weird motion now. Like, every jump I've ever done, I've kind of started with my right side, and now if I want to do something like completely square and flip backwards, it just feels weird on my back. The way I've jumped over a bar so many times, it's just awkward. Even like in the pool, if I wanted to do a backflip off the diving board or something, it kind of locks up my back a little bit, and I'd try to avoid it.
I feel like you'd almost be better off doing like a gainer from the side, like still jumping like high jump, but just doing a full rotation at the top.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I could do. I don't think I could do one from a standing, like straight up square approach. It would not end very good at all.
Well, we're actually going to turn the camera and have you do that outside right now.
All right, yeah. This would be a good start, though. 4 feet extra to land.
Off the table.
That would work, yeah.
I'll spot you, man. You'll be fine.
No, I've got a good friend that's done that. I have a pretty good video of him falling on his face, so I would hate for him to have a clip of me doing that too.
It's brutal. And I've got friends that are really good at doing backflips. It's less about like how high can you jump and more about just rotating properly.
Oh yeah, it's speed and just taking advantage of that momentum is a big part of it.
Momentum, dude. There's some videos of some rather overweight guys that can do backflips real well, and it's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah. So that is one interesting thing in high jump is weight difference. Like right now I weigh 163 pounds, like fully hydrated, and I've kind of gone down since my freshman year. When I showed up to campus, I was probably close to 170.
Really?
And towards the end of my freshman year out at Tampa, I weighed 175, and now I'm down to 163, and I can move a lot more weight and everything else. So I've definitely lost some of the maybe beer weight or something, but yeah, I'm definitely leaning down, and I don't know if that has any part to do with the consistency at all. It could be, but I'm also a more accomplished and experienced high jumper than what I was then. But it's something I focus on, and yeah, I weigh not very much, and I'll probably put on some weight after college. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, you and I are gonna lift together.
Yeah, I need a big bulk.
We'll get you there. Do you think 163 is like your most optimal weight for high jump, or do you think if you went to like 157, 155, like has that thought crossed your mind?
It would take a lot of work to get below 160, and I don't know. I'm just not that guy. I don't want to go that low. I mean, I look skinny enough, and there might be a little bit of benefit, but I'm pretty much all just bones and muscle right now. So I would have a hard time getting much lower. Yeah. Especially for how tall I am.
Your percent body fat's got to be super low.
Yeah. It's on my arms and everywhere else. It's pretty low. And I got a nice gut. So that's probably where it's all located, but
you don't really have a gut. Like, unless, I don't know if you're laying in a bad position. When you stand up, you just kind of look like a pretty lean guy.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I got one sometimes. Sometimes I don't, but
yeah, that's how it is. Do you have any sort of like when you're eating, like you're trying to eat less to stay at 163, or is it more of that's where you naturally sit?
No, I watch what I eat. I kind of eat maybe 2 meals a day and kind of a light snack. Like I start my day with a breakfast pizza, or breakfast sandwich, and then
you go to Casey's.
I go in Keach to the Jump Start and get a Hunt's Brothers breakfast pizza.
There you go, free plug.
So that's pretty good, but I'll eat like a quick snack at work, like an apple or some fruit. And then 4:00 is kind of where I get a big meal of a lot of like a Chipotle bowl or some hamburger I've got sat out. And that's kind of where I eat a whole lot and then kind of have a lighter meal towards the end of the night. So I definitely don't eat a lot. And then that also saves a little bit of money. So
yeah,
it's kind of a good combo of hard economic times and staying lean's a good thing. So it just kind of works out.
It's a financial investment that you're making.
Yeah, I don't have to spend money on a whole bunch of food at the grocery store, and it helps me out in the high jump. So it's a good combo.
That is the difficulty with bulking. I just went on like a 15-pound bulk I guess while I was in Florida pretty much, and you spend a lot more money because you're just eating so much.
Yeah, I just don't eat a whole lot. I mean, if it doesn't taste good, I'm not going to eat it. I'm not going to force myself to eat. So it's got to taste good.
You like steak too, don't you?
Yeah, I'm a big lean meat guy. So steaks, some fish, shrimp, chicken, like grilled chicken breast, stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So sounds like you have a little bit of discipline when it comes to kind of your diet. Then are you trying to hydrate like consciously throughout the day, or you're just letting that run normal?
That usually runs normal. I hydrate a lot like the day before a meet, and that usually helps. There's a good correlation there, but I drink enough water during the morning, and everything else I don't really pay too close of attention until closer to the track meet.
Can you tell if like when you're jumping, if you haven't hydrated properly the day before?
Not really. I mean, I've just always done a good job on like Monday and Tuesday getting water in for a jump session on Tuesday, and it's kind of hard to judge it because there's so many different factors that go into a Tuesday jump session versus a Saturday one where you've prepped for it. Mm-hmm. Like during the off season, you're jumping twice a week. You're just training the whole week, so it might help a little bit, but you're also feeling that stress from the rest of the week, and it's all adding up.
When you talk about that off season training, what workouts are you doing?
Just a little bit more of everything. Like towards the season, we kind of just take down reps, but it's a lot of just clean squats and running. We take out a little bit of running towards like November of the season. And I mean, when I say running, I'm talking like more of the fartlek style of runs, still sprint and all that. But
you say fartlek?
Yeah.
What's that?
It's just like a series of timed jogs, runs, and walks. Okay. So I don't know. I've heard of them all the time. So
probably through track. I'm not on the track team.
But yeah, no, it's just like 30 seconds on of running, 30-second jog.
Oh, kind of like a tempo run?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's brutal.
But we did those in high school football, so I don't know. I don't know where the name comes from at all. You have to look it up.
Did you ever do suicides in high school?
Never on a football field, but we did them in basketball.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, like Wednesday of the first week of basketball practice was always the worst day because you'd have all the worst conditioning drills and everything else. And I don't remember anymore which year it was, but we would do suicides, but with a towel and our hands forward. So we would do those at the end of practice. And I remember looking down at my calf and it was cramping and there was a dent in my calf this size.
Dude.
And I'll never forget that pain. I mean, I was pretty much in tears, but I'll never trade any of those basketball practices for anything. I mean, they're a bunch of fun. I wish I could go back and do it. But probably not that one. That one was pretty tough. I
feel like coaches at the beginning of every basketball season always tried to like come out and set the mood and like, we're going to get you into shape and you guys have been, slacking or whatever. We're going to just run you to death. And you always came in and just got your butt kicked the first couple weeks.
Yeah. Luckily we're a team that would usually touch basketball every day, but sometimes you hear of people that never got to touch a basketball during basketball practice, and that'd be pretty tough. I hate running, so that would be brutal.
Yeah, they just try and weed you out. Yeah, that high school basketball was always a good time. Was it on your bingo card coming into college, like how successful you've been in high jump? Like, did you come in thinking like, oh, this is fun, they got me a scholarship, I'll be on an athletic team, like this just kind of seems like a cool thing to do? Or were you kind of hoping to end up here in this position?
Oh no, that's exactly it. When I came to college track, I didn't know anything about postseason track at all. I didn't know there was a world of track. To me, track was the third or fourth sport I did just because everybody else did it, and that's where you met girls in middle school. So that's how I started out in track, and I was probably that way pretty much all the way through high school. I would put some focus on the postseason, like state meet, and that was a big deal. But once I got to college, I mean, it was kind of the same thing. I never really focused on it and made it a big part of my day until like the last couple of years, where now it's more of part of my life. But no, like towards the end of my freshman year, I remember not even thinking about outdoor postseason track other than the conference meet. And about a week before conference, my friend was talking about the prelim meet for nationals. And I was like, what are you talking about? It's like, oh, you got to jump this mark to make the prelims to give yourself a chance to qualify for nationals. And I was, what, dude? I thought I was already qualified for that. What do you mean?
Yeah.
And I ended up going to the conference meet and jumping the mark I needed to make to go to that prelim meet. And that was a good experience. And even then, the next year, my sophomore year, indoor, never even heard of an indoor nationals track meet, and I ended up being an All-American at one. So it's pretty crazy to
Just
me.
Accidentally an All-American.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the next year I definitely knew what the track world was a little bit more. After my sophomore year outdoor, I jumped pretty good and had like a mark that moved me up to top 10 in the NCAA, and that was pretty cool. But still then I didn't realize like, oh, I could be a national level athlete. Like I went to the prelim meet that outdoor season thinking, oh, if I have a good day, I could go to nationals. And then that next indoor season I made it, and I was like, I belong here. I've jumped just as high as these athletes have, and I've got nothing to lose. I've never been here. So I wish I could feel that free again. Sometimes I go to these bigger meets now and I have a little bit more pressure to do good because I know other people expect it and I expect it of myself. And that's one big thing. Like this last meet at the conference meet, I expected to win. So when I was in third place with 2 misses and not even close to my PR, I was pretty frustrated. And I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of emotion out of me even once I cleared the 219 bar. And
There's not usually a lot of emotion out of you though.
yeah, no, there really isn't. But like even after jumping that, it's like I expected to win this. This is close to my season average. This is a good jump, so I'm happy with it. You might have got a celebration out of me if I would have made the next bar, but I came in expecting to win, and that's not how I was my freshman, sophomore, and beginning of the junior year. It just wasn't that way. But once you jump higher and you get more confidence, and that you kind of have expectations that roll with that. And the last 2 conference meets, it's been like I expect to win. Nobody can mess with me.
Does that pressure keep you up? Like that's something that'll, like even right now as we're heading into next week is regionals? Or
Yeah, pretty much regional prelim, same thing.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it's definitely something I think of. It's not something you can block out very easily, that's for sure. It's kind of on your mind. But I mean, going down to regionals, I know I can make 7 foot on my first attempt, which is probably what it takes, and qualify. It doesn't strike me that I'm not going to make it to nationals. Like, book my plane ticket, get my hotel rooms ready, and all of that. Like,
he's calling the shot.
I expect to make it.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, people would say here, like, don't jinx yourself, knock on wood, whatever. But I mean, the results from this outdoor have just proven that I belong there. So I have faith in what I can do. It's just ignore all those outside pressures that really don't need to exist, and just focus on what you've been doing and just have faith.
I love this mindset change that I feel like I've seen you had since I randomly met you freshman year in a dorm. And the way you described it was perfect. I would summarize it as like you were casually great. Like you just kind of, you were such a nonchalant guy. It's kind of like, oh, I'll go do whatever. And that's really the vibe that you put off. And you talked about how all of a sudden you start hitting these bars and it's like, whoa, like, you know, I'm winning this. I'm actually pretty good. And then the pressure that comes along with that. And I feel like that's also encompassed like a mindset change with you, where I feel like over the last 2 years, you've taken it so much more seriously and you have all of this confidence. And it's been like a really cool transformation to see.
Yeah, I would definitely describe myself as casually great. I remember like growing up and hearing that pretty much same phrase, like if he just put in a little bit more effort, he'd be really good at this.
Yeah.
And I think like towards the middle of college and like now I guess the end of college, it's like if I really focus on something, I can make a difference. And I know I'm a lot better and have a lot better ideas than a lot of people. I just need to be confident, go out there and do it. Other than sitting back and like let other people do it and just react, and just need to be more proactive with the opportunities I have. And I mean, that kind of goes into what's going on my plate right now. It's looking at other schools is I want to go out there and take advantage of the opportunities I have to experience something new and challenge myself.
You're at the top of your game right now. Like you have options that weren't available years ago.
Right. Now, I mean, when I graduated high school, I was thinking there's 2 options. It was like K-State or Fort Hays, and Fort Hays is cheap and go drink beer with my friends. Like that was pretty much it. And then track happened. I came to Wichita. A lot of things went right, and now I've got some good friends and buddies, and have all these opportunities now that I certainly didn't have when I first showed up, and could have never imagined when I was graduating high school.
So I want to talk about that in a minute, but I want to finish up to asking about You mentioned Olympic qualifying prior to this. Is that something now that's like you've got your eye set on that like you want to qualify? Do you think you'll ever make it to the Olympics? Like, where's your head at in terms of you're one of the best in the NCAA?
Right.
What about in the world? What about like USA and then the world?
Right. So you talk and see a bunch of athletes. They all talk about being world class. I wouldn't describe myself as that yet. I mean, I'm definitely country class, if you want to say
country
that,
class,
or nationwide class. But I don't see myself on the national level yet, and I know I can compete against a lot of Americans that are here and the NCAA, which is also good. Not quite the world class level. There's definitely some athletes that I've seen just grow right before my eyes, so I know it's there. Like Tyus Wilson, he's from Sterling, Kansas, a small town just north of Wichita.
Mm-hmm.
He struggled and struggled. He was really good in high school, like, top 10 in the U.S., really big stud. He's just struggled the last couple of years, and then now he's jumping close to the Olympic, like the auto standard for the Olympics.
Jeez.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Like that's close to 7.7 and a quarter, I think.
7.7?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's just insane. He's jumping really good. I'm really happy for him. But, someday hopefully that'll happen to me. I know he's put in the work, and I know I'm working on it. And you just have to invest now and hope the results show up later. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. So
when you talk about investing now, is that like I need to really hammer my technique, or is I need to train harder muscle wise in the off season? Like when you get to such a high level, we mentioned plateauing earlier, there's only so much more you can do to really make an incremental difference.
Right. So it kind of just goes into my training schedule right now. Like all of indoor, maybe I wasn't squatting near as much,
Mm-hmm.
and I was trying to hit that qualifier and kind of take the short, cheap step, because I have been able to do that in most of my time in my life. And just you have less stress on your legs, you're going to jump better at the end of the week.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get 5 weeks into the season and you've had these low-key weeks of no training and real stress.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just kind of average out and there's no big boost. And I wanted to change that for outdoor season, and we've been getting after it more in the weights. And a lot of the training's still been really hard, and I've had some really good meets and the best season I've ever had in my life, which is great because I know towards the end of the season, like getting closer to this meet, NCAAs and the trials, that I'm going to be toning down, and the underlying stress level of practice and life is going to trend down, and hopefully my jumps go up. So
Mm-hmm.
that's something I've adjusted for the outdoor season, and just hope the results show up. I mean, I've definitely just trained harder throughout the season and have focused on, the results have been pretty good, and I'm just trying not to focus on them because I want the results in June.
Yeah. Who comes up with your training plan?
So our coaches have their plans, and we kind of stick to that, and they do a pretty good job of training us for the conference championship, because that's what the majority of the team's there for. Like we take 36 athletes to, I don't know if it's 36, 30, whatever, to conference meet, and that's their big goal for the year. And then the athletes that make it to the nationals are like kind of the lucky athletes that just get by and are more of the top tier ones. And for outdoor season, it's been like talked with my coach that I want to focus on more of the meets in June than I do the conference meet. So it was kind of nice for the last week to just train hard and train normal and still go out there and be able to win a conference meet.
So the meets in June, is that like where you're talking about the prelims and then nationals? Is that separate from conference? I thought it was like you got to clear conference to go to the prelims to then make it to nationals.
Okay, yeah. So for NCAA, there's 3 postseason meets. And outdoor, there's your conference meet, which has nothing to do with prelims.
Okay.
And then your prelims is for your national meet.
Okay.
So, technically the prelims is the nationals meet, but it's all the preliminary rounds, and then the national finals are in June. And then that's at the beginning of June. Towards the end of June is when the trials are, and like U.S. championships on other years.
Okay. So the prelims, how do you qualify? Is that just like a bar height, or is that?
Yeah, no, the prelims for me, my freshman year is a little bit of a challenge, but after that, it hasn't really been an issue. It's like 6'10", and that's the starting bar at a nationals meet.
That's so crazy, man.
Yeah, no, it is because I mean 6'10" was pretty much my high school PR, and then now I can come in at a meet and jump it, which is pretty cool.
For those that don't know, how tall are you?
I'm 6'2.5", so I like to tell people I can jump a full foot over my head, which is pretty neat.
Yeah. So at what level does height no longer make a difference in high jump?
I mean, it always makes a difference. I wouldn't want to ever be over 6'8", I would think. But then there's some really good jumpers that are 5'10", 6 foot that
really
can jump close to 1.5 foot over their head. So that's very impressive to me.
That's so weird to think about.
But I mean, there's some people like I said, Ty's a really good jumper, and then I stand next to him and he's 4 or 5 inches taller than me. I'm like, well, my PR is 7'3". If I add 4 or 5 inches, then my higher. But that's not exactly how it works. I mean, there's a good frame for it, and I'd say it's somewhere in between 6 foot to 6'8".
Mm-hmm. What do you think that correlation is? Like if you're 6 foot and you're hitting a bar at 7 foot, but let's say you were actually 6'4" in a different hypothetical, or you're not jumping 4 inches higher for the bar. So it's not like a 1-to-1 correlation.
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah,
I would maybe chalk it up to the extra inch you have in your hip height, but other than that, I don't know what the clear correlation would be.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, okay, you're at the top of your game right now. I'm devastated because you've entered the portal, which means that you might not be around.
Right.
So what's going on there?
Yeah. So, I mean, originally I wanted to enter the portal before outdoor season and kind of have a full year to market myself to other teams. And really that started just because after indoor season, I felt like I was kind of plateauing, and you've mentioned that a few times. So that's definitely a good word you've picked, but
I did my research.
Felt like I was kind of getting complacent a little bit and wanted to challenge myself a little bit more. And then after I won the indoor meet by a couple bars, I was like, yeah, at some point, if you're the smartest in the room, you're in the wrong room kind of scenario. You know what I mean? Go out and surround yourself with people that are better than you, and eventually you'll work your way up to one of those guys. And I think that's kind of the one main things I really think about with what I'm doing and the people I'm associating myself with and everything else. If I'm the smartest one there, then I might be learning a little bit, but I'd sure learn a lot more in a room full of top tier athletes and people.
Yeah.
So that's a big factor in going into the portal. It's something I thought about last summer, and it just I never really went with it. There's just too much going on, and stuff and time got lost with leases and all that stuff. But since it was on my mind, I had a little bit more time to prepare, and really it's going to be a big step for me because I've got postseason track going on right now, and I just entered yesterday, and I'm trying to pick schools and find out what graduate school credits transfer. I've got 15 credit hours left on my MBA, which I'm pretty thankful to have done in 4 years.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go somewhere and lose all that credit and then just pay out my butt to finish a degree somewhere. I'd rather see what transfers, see what I can get covered in another school and go from there. So I'm looking at it from the academic side, but also the track side is a big part of it. I want to go to a program that has this big athletes that I can train with and work with.
Yeah.
I've definitely learned a lot this year about being a leader at Wichita State and kind of being more of one of the top guys and setting the example. But I'm ready to go learn from other people again.
So a couple of comments. The first one is you talked about, if you're the smartest guy in the room, then you're in the wrong room. I agree with that. They also say you're the average of the 5 people you hang around. And if you're the best performer in that category, then by law, the average is bringing you down. So yeah, I completely see what you're saying there. I'm just upset because, man, I live 4 minutes from you now. We're a mile and a half away, and you decide to
yeah, you finally moved closer, and then I've got to go.
I know.
But so June and July are just going to be huge months of my life that are literally life-changing for the rest of my life. I mean, June's got all the postseason track. I've got to decide where I go, and then who I want to room with there, and what all the options are. So it's going to be a challenge, and it's kind of one of those things. You just got to jump in the water and learn how to swim. And I mean, I might be blindly committing to a university I've never stepped foot on. And quite honestly, that sounds like fun to me. It's going to be challenging. It's going to challenge me to learn new people, or not learn new people, but learn new stuff and meet new people, which happened here. But I also had a good mentor here. And it's kind of a smooth transition because I was 2 hours away from home and I could make it home whenever I wanted and always had these resources around. And I want to be able to learn how to survive without those resources. And I think that's going to be good for me in the long run. So,
dude, that forced growth is such a good thing. Like whenever I moved here from St. Louis, I didn't know anyone here. So a huge culture shock. And then whenever we were just moved to Florida for about 3 to 4 months, like that was another huge culture shock. And like, I think it's a smart move on your end because Wichita State's a great school. It's got a great engineering program. They're revamping their business stuff to make it top notch. But admittedly, there's other schools across the nation where you're a finance business guy, and having one of those be part of your MBA could be huge for you, as well as people you can meet out there. And then back to being the average people in the room, and with high jump too. Like I think all of those could be a really big positive for you. So I'm excited for you on that front.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a good time. I just hope like stuff with school works out. I mean, the short term right now, I plan to go somewhere and wrap it up in a full year and come back to Wichita because I know I've got connections here. And then I'll also have a connection outside the Midwest, most likely. And learning those new connections will help me in my business career and everything else like that.
What do you want to do after college? Assuming you're not like some Olympic, Nike endorsed Olympic athlete.
Yeah. So I want to get my CFP, and I'm looking for like a company to sponsor me and help me with that. So right now, just work in a bank part-time and then go practice in the afternoon and do my evening classes, and just racking up experience in the finance industry like that. It's kind of stuff I focus on right now since Wichita State doesn't have anything like that in the school for me.
CFP, Certified Financial Planner?
Yep, that's right.
So like for those that don't know, what would you be doing?
Financial advising. It looks different. Eventually I want to own my own firm, and I think that'd work out best in Wichita because I've got connections here.
Right.
I've got connections close to home, and all that would work out good. So I'm definitely more on the retail side where you're working with people and you're not just sitting behind a cubicle and crunching numbers and stuff. So I'd like to do that where I'm working with people on their financials, and that's I like the investment side a little bit more. So at the bank, you see a lot of stuff with people, and I just don't like it. I mean, people taking out loans and stuff for just stuff that doesn't. I mean, I'm not interested in. And sometimes you can definitely go out and take a loan out, and it's an investment in something, but I'm more invested in helping people make money than finance their wants. Right.
And plus at the bank, like you see people making investments where you're probably like, I wouldn't make that investment. So in a CFP position financial, in that position, you could advise them on what to do too.
Right. And I think working for a company for the first few years where you can get that experience is good, and breaking off and doing your more independent side of stuff is really good because you can personalize stuff more. It's not the same product. So you see that in a bank, you have your 5 different terms of CDs, and that's pretty much all you offer right there. And I mean, I can go online right there on my computer and look at a different bank that has different rates.
Yeah.
And that's something I think of when I'm working there. I don't know. A lot of people like to keep their money and stuff in the same place, but I could see how people just go online and find a better rate. And I think I don't want to sit here and sell you something that I know is not the best option for you.
Yeah. That's one of the interesting things that I've learned about you over the years is like, you're a good athlete, but then hearing you talk about finance and your interest in it, I was like, oh, he's actually kind of a sharp guy too. Like I'm going to be honest, I was not expecting that when I met you.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, my boss works with me every day to try to get me to come out of my comfort zone and kind of work on presenting myself and outlining the highlights and the stuff I do, because I'm more of a guy that sits behind the desk and is more humble and is not going to say much about my track stuff. And I kind of keep quiet, but he's trying to get me out of my comfort zone where I'm comfortable telling people about that stuff and bragging on myself essentially. And I mean, that's something I just need to work on a little bit. I mean, it's not easy for me to like sit here and talk about myself. It's not something I do every day, and it's something I need to work on if I want to market myself, because I know I'm doing stuff that is beneficial for people and I'm doing the right thing. It's just not covered because I'm not going to tell anybody I'm doing it.
Yeah. Well, this is a good exercise to do that. You're 39 minutes and 42 seconds deep into this rep.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good with for me. I'll have to share that with him and he'll laugh. But yeah, it's hard for me because I sit there and I work with the same people, but then I see different customers every day. So I feel like I'm telling the same story to my coworkers that are sitting right beside me, but it's a different person that's coming through and everything.
Yeah. In the world of entrepreneurship, we call that your elevator pitch. And then whenever you're doing it, like not just like for a business plan, but with yourself, I think of it as like a life resume. It's like, what is the quick little 15, 30-second blurb I can tell about myself to differentiate myself from someone else so that person's interested and wants to learn more.
Right. And I won't lie, it's pretty cool when people would come into the bank and be like, oh, I heard your name on the radio or saw a news article about you and congratulations on winning conference and stuff. That's pretty cool, and that makes it worth it.
It feels so good. And that brings me to one of my questions. You were like a shocker athlete of the week, like 3 weeks almost in a row. It might have been 3 weeks and 4 or 5 weeks total. Like, well, how do they even decide that? Do you just start paying the person who is picking them? Like, how did you get it 3 times in that short period?
You know, I'm not sure because this outdoor season, I did get it back-to-back weeks. In the third week, they gave it to a guy, I think it was a hurdler, and his best mark was, I think it put him at like 24th or something in the nation or NCAA. And that jump I jumped that week put me at like 18th. And I was
didn't pick you.
I was kind of thinking about how they do pick that. And I'm really not sure how they pick it because my mark I jumped that week, even though it was less than my 2 weeks prior, it was still a higher ranked mark than what he was at. So yeah, I'm really not sure how they picked that out, but I've gotten that I don't know, close to 10 times in my career.
Do they give you like a trophy or something?
You get a little certificate that says your name on it, and men's athlete of the week. So that's pretty cool.
You got them hung on your wall?
I don't know where they all are. There's some sitting on my desk right now. I've got the All-American ones plaqued and like my degree and the Male Athlete of the Year award. I've got that on display, but the Men's Athlete of the Week, they kind of sit with all the news articles and stuff because I've got 10 of them or something.
You're just using them for coasters for beer.
Yeah, no, not really. But yeah, they sit up there with some of my other important like articles and stuff. So I will sit here and brag about Male Athlete of the Year, though. That's something I would have never thought of.
Oh, you were male? Yeah, that's what it was. Talk about that.
So every year we have a banquet. It's called the, I don't even know. It's normally Golden Carpet Awards, and you dress up nice, you take pictures, they go over some awards. And last year, it really made me mad that I didn't win one, especially after my All-American performance, and it was frustrating. So this year it was pretty exciting that I found out I was nominated for Male Athlete of the Year in the whole athletic department. And I found it really ironic that the other 2 nominees were both my roommates from my sophomore and junior year, which I thought was pretty funny. And this one was an actual banquet with meals and stuff, and it was a great night. And I got picked for it, and I won Male Athlete of the Year. And man, that's something I had never even thought of when I was in high school and even freshman and sophomore year. It's like, oh, those guys win awards, and that, that's not me. I'm not even close to that caliber. But I somehow won, and that's something I'm pretty proud of.
What did you feel whenever like they called your name?
Oh, I mean, just relinquished. I mean, I felt ecstatic.
Yeah.
I had to go back and watch the video because I did not hear a single word they said about me. I just heard Brady Palen. I started walking and smiling and stuff. And so I had to go back and watch the video, and it was pretty cool. But yeah, I'm super proud of that.
That is so cool. Yeah, that is something to be proud of. I mean, we have a lot of great athletes at Wichita State, and for you.
Yeah, and it's just crazy because I compare myself to a lot of the athletes here, and I'm like, if that athlete and I went and played a game of basketball or something, that dude would just cook me. And
you dunk on him.
That's true. I can out jump anybody on the right side and lay it off the glass. That's about my only move I got anymore. But yeah, no, it's kind of cool because you can see like athletes and how they're specialized and how good they are at just like that special thing, like pitchers, and like I'm a high jumper, and apparently I'm a lot better high jumper than that guy is a shortstop. And even though I know that dude's an athletic guy and very impressive athlete, I'm just got that edge in my specific area.
Yeah. It's hard to compare apples to oranges whenever you're looking across sports, but it's natural to like compare yourself. And I think it's probably like a validating feeling of you're like, okay, I know I'm good. I know they're good. Like they look really good, but how do I stack up compared to that? And that's got to be a cool moment to know that you were the male athlete of the year.
Yeah. It was something I was really expecting to get once I saw the nominees, and I was just really happy that I ended up winning, I guess.
Yeah. So with all of this success that you've had in high jump, in this character development that you've had, what is it like stepping into more of like a leadership role and having other people start to look up to you?
Right. So this year I definitely knew coming off of last year and some of the awards and stuff I just got last year that people would be looking up to me, and I needed to set a good example. And really that started with like our Friday morning workouts. I wanted to be the loudest guy in the weight room and get people jacked up. And that's more fun, honestly. Screaming and yelling and getting people fired up is a lot more fun. And just doing the small stuff right and believing in yourself. Like every chance I would get at a story or like a meeting or something, I would tell them about the times and the feelings I had my freshman and sophomore year and how that all changed when I wasn't even imagining it. And I really like sharing that with the younger athletes.
Do they seem receptive?
I think so. And I know a lot of them will look up to me. I remember one of the freshmen asking me who I was, and he's like, "Oh, you're an All-American? I'm trying to be like you."
Yeah.
And he says it in kind of a joking manner, but I know deep down, like as a freshman, you're looking up to this graduate athletes and all the upperclassmen.
That's cool, man. I'm happy for you. And it's weird that you're going to be leaving, and I'll definitely follow along with what you're doing next. But like, what a crazy 4 years it's been for you.
Yeah. I tell people I need to write a book. I think once I'm officially done with Wichita State, I might have to start on it. And I think it'd be pretty cool to write a book every like 5 years, because then by the time you're 70 or whatever, you'll have, I don't even know the math, 10 books or something to leave behind. That'd be pretty cool. And I definitely have a lot of stories in there that I'd like to share, and experiences I've had.
You got to start journaling or something, man. Just like daily getting that out there.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to just go back and look at Snapchat memories really for that. And
Snapchat memories and podcast appearances.
Man, I might just get rid of that one and leave that one behind. And, ooh, this one looks good. And kind of pick from those experiences, because a lot of people, especially from Beloit, my hometown, they just don't get the opportunity like I've had. And they've been really supportive of me. And I'm really thankful for that.
What is the population in Beloit?
I think it's about 3,500, so it's not tiny, but I went to the smaller Catholic school there and graduated with 12, and I tell people that, and they're like, "What? Like, that's insane." But really, when you're in that small of a community, there's a lot less distractions, and everybody there is so supportive. So even when you're there, you might not realize it, and there's like small town drama crap going on, everything else. But really, at the end of the day, you don't realize how many people are there to actually support you.
Yeah, you're like a hometown hero now.
Yeah, sometimes I'll get on my parents' Facebook and I'll just look at comments, and there's 100 of them, and it's like, wow, look at all these people, and it's just insane to me.
It's a good support crew.
Yeah, it really is, and like I said, I'm just thankful for it, because in high school, I definitely felt like, I don't know, I'd hear my name on the radio and be like, "That's pretty cool." And some people would give me some crap, maybe at like the club or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I would just go on with my day. But now when I see people, when I go back home, and they're so supportive, and it really means a lot to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, Brady, as we start to wrap up, where can people find you online if they want to connect and learn more?
Right. So my Instagram's, Brady Palen, and pretty much any handle like that.
Spell it for them.
BALLINPALEN.
There's a period in between, isn't there?
Yeah, on my Instagram. Yeah. And then my Twitter's just a little bit different. But if you look me up, I'll be there, and I'm open for any messages and like just jumping tips. I mean, I'll keep it short and sweet. I'm not going to dress it too much, but just do your squats and your cleans. And that's really all I ever done. And I saw the most results when I was doing squats all summer. And that was kind of the big jump from my sophomore and junior years. I did a lot of squats that summer.
Do your squats and your cleans. You can find me on Instagram at Jacob O'Connor. The podcast is at Real Period Conversations. If you guys enjoyed the episode, make sure to share it with a friend. Brady, my final question for you. Looking back at this really remarkable journey you've been on, what advice would you give to your freshman self?
I would say focus a little bit more on your track, and because the results and everything I've experienced right now are just a lot of fun. And I wish I could go back and tell my freshman self about these experiences, because really I had no idea they were out there and I didn't know they were available to me. So I would go back and tell myself, just be proactive and look out for the opportunities you have, because really I was just living life and, and didn't have those goals set.
Thank you for coming on, Brady.
Yep. Thank you.